Donald Jeffries. Author of Hidden History and Survival of the Richest. Host of The Donald Jeffries Show. Billy Ray Valentine. Host of the Infinite Fringe podcast. Researcher, truth seeker from the Bronx, New York. Tony Arterburn. Radio host, combat veteran, precious metals analyst, and alt historian. Together, they take on the headlines of the week, decode the disinformation, and plow through the mainstream propaganda. Unauthorized, unscripted, and unintimidated. This is America Unplugged.
What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Good afternoon. A War on Reality Report. It's America Unplugged. Tony Arterburn, the wisest of all the wolves. Say what's up to the people.
It's good to see you again, Billy.
What's up, buddy?
Good to see Don. I've been working on Wise Wolf Greenland. I'm going to set up a franchise there. Got to get some winter stuff. I got to get a new coat.
I hear it's beautiful up there. We should transfer America Unplugged studios over to Greenland.
Absolutely.
I'm totally for that.
It's going to be a bonanza.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have us with open arms over there when we come in. We come in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Don Jeffries, the legendary. What's going on?
Greenland's looking pretty good. A very, very small population. Not to worry about traffic or overcrowding or anything like that. So I'm looking forward to Trump's making a good move so he can take over certain countries. Anyhow, he's decide what. But yeah, it's always fun to talk to you guys, and we never run out of stuff to talk about in these really wild and crazy times.
Unfortunately, thinking the other day, I really wish we didn't have all this shit to talk about, man. Because it's just getting crazier and crazier. So we got a plethora of things. Tony's been as he's been doing for years now, closely following the death of the American dollar. So we're going to get an update on that, of course. It's happening, and it's been happening for quite some time. This is one of the things that the alternative media and the conspiracy theorists were right about, in a way. There's a lot of nuance to it, but they were right about it, to say the least. So that's happening. Tony's gone now. He'll be back, though.
That's Greenland.
He went to Greenland. We got to go. Let's go, everybody, collectively. Let's go over to Greenland. There's no one there, and they're dying to have us there. So, Don Jeffries, we wanted to talk about a couple of things. Trump has declared himself the unofficial president of Venezuela. I don't know if you saw that, but he says that he is the acting president of Venezuela. That's what he is. He's soon going to be the acting president of Iran, the new Shah of Iran, Donald J. Trump. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize by the lady that won the Nobel Peace Prize, and he took it. He was like, "Thank you." It's hilarious. He's like grinning from ear to ear. Like it was hilarious to see. More Epstein file stuff is dropped. It's like it must be really, really, really crazy what's in there, because they're really trying to not put out these files. They haven't done that, and apparently they put forth some type of memo that says they don't have to anymore, according to Pam Bondi. I don't know. They're really trying to cover up the nastiness that went on there. We already have enough nasty stuff, but apparently there's more, like a lot more. The Canadian Prime Minister called for a new world, or not called for one. He said that there is one, a new world order, and that they're getting ready for it. And this new world order does not include the United States of America. Do you want to know why? I mean, I've been screaming about this for years now. But it's pretty evident why the United States is being cut out of the world order. And if the United States gets cut out of that, that's not good for the people of the United States. Therefore, it is not America first. Just saying. All right, Don Jeffries, what do you want to talk about before we get into all of that?
Oh, no, that's all interesting stuff. And I think, just looking at Trump and Trump's, I call it the Trump and Son Project. I still think he's an actor. But, if you take this at face value and he isn't, then you would have to say he has the worst case of, and I don't believe these psychiatric terms. I think they're all bullshit for the most part, but the narcissistic personality disorder.
Right.
If there is such a thing as that, this guy is the poster child for it. Because if you take him at face value, I have never seen, and you talk about it, 15-year-old girl. And there's nobody. I mean, Trump, if he knew how, maybe he'd be taking selfies all the time. I don't understand this to accept an award like that. It's like he reminds me of the kind of guy that might steal your trophy or something, and claim that he won it. I don't get it. The gold in the White House, everything. I have to think this is part of the act, but I mean, I know that was part of Trump's personality to some degree in private life, but he didn't really display it quite that much in his first term, and now it's through the roof. And the idea that I was watching a debate, and that Michael Knowles of Daily Wire is a typical neocon, conservative, and he was trying to defend what Trump's doing everywhere in terms of, and trying to claim that this is still America first. I mean, it's so obviously the antithesis of America first, but to be taking over country after country, this is imperialist. This is building a new kind of imperial regime, and I don't understand why how he has any base left. I don't know, but I've been reading this stuff, man. There's people that that defend the shooting in the head of the woman in Minnesota. And today, I read somewhere today where they're making a big deal out of it. They actually weren't a lesbian couple. It's like, it's fact of whether he shot him in the head, how it shot her in the head. But this very dark times, and there doesn't. I don't know who's opposing it other than Thomas Massey. Who else? What is the left really doing? Had there been any impeachment proceedings? I mean, these are the same people that impeached him for the most ridiculous stuff possible the first term.
It's coming, Don. It's coming, and he knows it. And that's why he wants to suspend the midterm elections. Where did you hear that first, ladies and gentlemen? Go back and think about it, because the alt media is certainly not talking about it. They say I have Trump derangement syndrome. Where did you hear that he was going to try to do this? Where? Just think about it. Whomever says it gets a chicken dinner free on America Unplugged. Well, that's why he's trying to say it. He's going to get impeached and hopefully removed. I don't know what it's going to do, Don, to be honest with you. I'm very happy for Thomas Massey. And then when I say that, I get crap from people. I just get crap from people all the time. I'm like, very happy about Thomas Massey. I don't agree with some of his politics. We're not, aligned in a lot of ways, but I think what he's doing here is right and good. End of the world. You should have seen the type of messages I got about Thomas Massey. You believe in Thomas Massey? You believe what he has to say? Oh my God! Oh my God! Like, I'm sorry. I think.
Well, I don't know. I mean, because I know a few people don't, but I mean, Massey has long been, I would think, the favorite congressman of what used to be the alt media. I don't know what it is now. I don't. This again, if you go back and look at Trump's original rhetoric, and then even his rhetoric leading up to this election, the last election, he was still talking about, hey, maybe we should try this. And he talked about ending the Ukraine-Russia war on the first day and all that stuff. And he was, even though he was crazy about it, and he would go back and forth and also make jingoistic comments too, he was the only one that was running for president or any position to do it, that would at least once in a while talk about diplomacy or talk about, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. And of course, he would make it all about him. But that's all gone now. Everything is, I do what I want. What did he say? That it's about my moral, whatever I think, my morality, whatever his personal morality. Right. I mean, that's very, dangerous stuff. And again, I still think he's an actor. But I can't figure this Trumpenstein project out now. All I know is that it certainly did succeed in killing off any possible independent political movement in the future, because people ought to be able to coalesce behind the fact that 80% of the people are getting screwed, but they can't do it. And Trump's personality is a large reason why, because you still have millions of people that are going to justify anything that happens, and they're going to somehow think that capturing the president, even if he had a right to do it, how is kidnapping the president of Venezuela winning? How does that help Americans at all? I mean, it's ridiculous. And notice how they're not talking about drugs anymore now. That was supposedly the reason why they went in there.
Right? They dropped those charges against Maduro. They couldn't prove them, so they dropped them.
But that was the whole reason. Narco-terrorists. Isn't that why we blew up the Venezuelan ships? It's just ridiculous.
I agree with you.
How Bin Laden was never actually on the list for 9/11 for the FBI.
Still, to this day.
To this day.
To this day, they don't accuse him of September 11th. Questions that we have about that event. I do think that there is an independent movement coming, but unfortunately, for all my right-wing friends, it's coming from the left.
It will take,
right.
I think it will take a lot more economic pain and let down. You're starting to see the fissures, like the cracks are in. I mean, look at how Dan Bongino's received back. He tries to go back to his podcast and shame those who are black-pilled or just gave up on the entire movement, like that they're disillusioned. And he got met with, I mean, all I see like in my feed is just the algorithm sending me Dan Bongino.
99%.
I sent you guys that picture. And they replaced Ghislaine Maxwell rubbing Epstein's feet with Bongino. That was one of the funniest things.
Did you see, Tony or Billy Ray, either one of you see that video? This guy, I think it's Jackson Hinkle is his name, that sometimes his stuff pops up online. He keeps showing a clip of Bongino. You know, he's a tough guy, right? And he supposedly knows karate. Have you seen that video of him doing karate moves at his desk?
I haven't. No.
Is it AI?
I've never seen anybody look so weak and ridiculous. And he actually thinks he's looking. You got to see it. Google Bongino does karate moves. And it's unbelievable that this guy is trying to portray himself as a tough guy. Check it out.
I got to look at that, man. You know, when I first saw the interview of Bongino and Cash Patel, I was like, something's wrong with Dan Bongino. You know, he's seen something happened, and you know, I never once thought that Cash Patel was going to leave the FBI, but I was like, Bongino, we got to look at him. I think there's potential there for him to leave. He did leave, but he's covering everything up. But because if we believe him, he read all of that shit. He knows what's in those files. He knows it, and he's still covering up and still saying whatever he's saying. You know, so that podcast money is very, very important to him. I hope it's a giant flop. Joe Rogan has turned around and he's now criticizing Donald Trump after being directly responsible for putting him in the White House in the first place. You know, and this is why I'm so critical of the alt media. The alt media is responsible in a lot of ways for everything that is going on right now and putting this lunatic in the White House. And the decline of the United States, you know, it's the rapid decline. The United States was going to decline anyway. It was going to happen, but Donald Trump put a rocket to it. We said this on day one, right? And I'm going to the Canadian Prime Minister, and we're going to talk about that. But Don brought up this Nobel Peace Prize thing, and that's dope. I want to discuss that real quick. Look at him, Tony. I want you to look at Donald. He looks like a kid in a candy store. Mom just handed him a lollipop, and he is grinning from ear to ear. Listen. If somebody came to me and said, hey, Billy, you know, I won this Nobel Peace Prize, but I think you should have it because you really brought peace to the world and X, Y, and Z. I would say, no, this is yours. You keep that. Thank you. I appreciated it, but I cannot accept this. This is your thing. He took it. He's like, thank you. And then when they asked him about it, he was like, well, she gave it to me. So I took it. I'm like, this is the type of guy we're dealing with. And I do believe in, it's evident, Don, that there's something seriously wrong with this guy. So yeah, it's malignant narcissism, you know, and he's displayed it for a long time. He displayed it during the first administration. People just refused to see it.
And Peter says he threw her under the bus and said she isn't right after he gave her the award.
What's up, Peter? How you doing, brother? Yeah, and he's absolutely right. He threw her under the bus before, and he threw her under the bus after she gave him this Nobel Peace Prize. And she's desperately trying to gain favor with this guy. And like, hey, if I give you this, will you make me the president of Venezuela or something? And typically that would work, but for some reason it's not right now. He still took the prize and he's very happy about it. He calls her a very nice woman, but he's not trying to take out the Maduro administration, which is still in power in Venezuela right now, as per the acting president of Venezuela, Donald J. Trump. This is what he said, not me. Tony Arterburn, thoughts?
Well, of course he loves it. The Nobel Prize was brought to you by Albert Nobel, who invented dynamite, TNT, and he had a guilty conscience because his invention blew people up all over the world and started an entire new horrific cascade of events and warfare. So yeah, if you get the Nobel Peace Prize, you're getting dynamite money. So it sounds like fun. That's why a lot of your notorious people who weren't so peaceful got the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, Barack Obama got it. And if you read a great book called Hidden History, there's a quote in there by Barack Obama. He says, "I'm really good at killing people." That's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
I remember
That's what won it for him, I think, really. I think you had to give the credit to that quote.
Yeah. That was about droning and wedding parties and all the stuff. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and this you're digging into the heart of the whatever this experiment is, this narcissism, and it's a reflection of the country. I mean,
Absolutely.
we get Tucker Carlson said, happy countries don't elect Donald Trump, and I don't think the country was happy in 2015. Seems like a world ago because it's 11 years on, but people forget. There was a Bernie Sanders, there was a populist uprising because of the disparity between the haves, the have-yots and the have-nots. The wealth disparity, the gap was widening. We had immigration issues, just functionality issues, the infrastructure, all that stuff. So you had these two figures. You had Bernie Sanders, you had Donald Trump coming on the scene, and it just obliterating the set standard of the establishment, or so we thought. Because, we're 11 years on, and, the entire premise of MAGA now is ironically dead. I mean, if you think about the premise is to make America great again. Well, we didn't do that. So like it's also grifting. It's just massive grifting. And then we get to the point where, yeah, you have these photo ops, and I see it, and it's giddy, and he's got the Nobel Peace Prize. But we are on the verge of kinetic war all over the globe, and we're not making inroads for peace. It doesn't mean, peace. It's funny. We changed the Department of Defense to the Department of War. We changed it back. Harry Truman changed it in, I believe it was 1946 or so, maybe 47 at the beginning of that's where you get NSC document 68, where you have the NSA, the CIA was born, the Air Force was born, it became a separate department, all that stuff that came out of post Roswell 1947 America. But we haven't brought peace. And it doesn't look like that's anything on the table for peace. I remember going back to something I was, the algorithm fed me a replay of one of my appearances. I think it was on this show. And I said, well, if you see a Trump election in 2024, then you're most likely looking at the acceleration of the Great Reset. Because that's what it looks like to me now. Yeah, it just looks like we're accelerating all the weak points. We're exacerbating. The only thing we haven't done yet is plunge headlong into a worldwide war, which the Biden administration desperately wanted. We could see that through every escalation. And right before the election, it seems like years and years ago. It's not. But right before the election, we had the British government and the American government sanctioned long-range missiles fired from Ukraine into Russia, which has never happened before. And we covered it on this show. That it's never happened where a nuclear power it has targeted another nuclear power, even through a proxy, but onto their sovereign territory. And that was a huge story that didn't get a lot of play. But it seems like the big stories don't get a lot of play. The things that I think are like earth-shattering don't get a lot of play, and then they move reality, just like I've been dealing with this week since we talked last. I mean, my days bleed into each other because the amount of people trying to sell me silver, because silver is went from $29 to $33 a year ago to over 90 to 94, and heading towards 100. The new $100 bill, as my friend Charlie Robinson sent me, is the American 1 ounce silver eagle. So that's the new $100 bill, folks. It's a lot of insane things outcropping from all this stuff that supposedly wasn't big stories, like Russia putting silver as a strategic reserve asset 2 years ago. But we're watching the death of the dollar. But by the way, all the moves, like we didn't even talk about the criminal probe on the chairman of the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
Okay. Initiated by the White House. Now, the Federal Reserve is a criminal organization, and they've robbed Americans, and they're responsible for untold amount of death and destruction and misery. It's what central banks are. I mean, they're just an outcropping of satanic energy robbing you. I mean, that's this. You don't. It's not a monetary thing. It's a spiritual thing. You're talking about central banking, but they don't go after any of the criminality in the real world that the Federal Reserve did. They're going after some cost overrun on building expansion. It's
because they don't have anything, Tone. They don't have anything to go after these people legally. They just don't. So Donald Trump has an agenda, makes up some bullshit, and goes after these people, setting a bad precedent. He's been doing this over and over again with everybody he doesn't like. That's the issue here, unfortunately. This guy's going to get removed, right? I mean, he's leaving. I think next year is his last year, I think, or something.
Oh, Jerome Powell? No, this year. I mean,
this year.
They're just trying to
2026. I'm thinking
Trump
2025.
so badly wants to get a hold of the printing press.
It's going to be awful when Trump gets what he wants here. Go ahead.
Oh, well, it's when you see, and again, this is the beginning, folks. When you see Jerome Powell is gone, which he's supposed to be done in May, that's when his tenure's up, and they're going to force a expansion of the money supply like we've never seen. Larry Lepard calls it the big print, and I think that's apropos. I think it's a good description. It's going to be the massive amount of liquidity injections, and it may prop up the current administration for another midterm.
Temporarily.
It may not. It may not even be what that's about. I mean, we may be looking at like the golden parachutes for the parasite class.
Very good.
The looting of the treasury via interest rates and money supply expansion. That's why you're seeing the prices of metals do what they do. This isn't a stock market rally. This has nothing to do with really market forces. This is governments and fourth dimensional warfare, like I mentioned last time, and you've seen it show up in real time.
Peter Sikosh in the chat is absolutely right. Well, I read the same report.
He is. That's right. He's trying to replace, and he's going to replace. A lot of this is a pageant, and Jerome Powell is the face of the Federal Reserve. Like, that's the front face that you see, but he doesn't own it. And you know what? Nobody knows who owns it. I mean, if you go back and look at the creature from Jekyll Island, that was and G. Edward Griffin, and we Don's talked to him on his show, and just a legend who wrote that book. And they did. I mean, that's some of the best research ever done, and you still can't break it down on who actually owns this thing. We know it's international banking cartels, and we know that it's dynastic families and things that own this, the real mechanism of it. But how much of this is a play? The same people own our elections. The same people keep us in the duality. So a lot of this is a pageant, or some sort of creative destruction. You got to understand they're ushering, and the dollar's not going to zero. It's going to digital. So at the end of the day, what you may be watching is just some way for you to intellectualize the destruction of that old system. We're in a fourth turning. And these institutions that were really born out of the last fourth turning, which was 1944, you get, Bretton Woods, you get the IMF, the World Bank, the dollar as the gold standard around the world in reserve currency. And those institutions have crumbled. So this may be a way for them to and make it look real. I'm not sure how much of this is real and how much of this is posturing.
All right. Let's hit a couple more things before we get up out of here. The time is flying today. It is what it is. Which one did I want to hit? Oh, let's go to the New World Order. Let's play that. That's in the title. I think that's important. Pay attention, guys. Prime Minister of Canada isn't lying here. He's making moves. He's severing ties with the United States, creating ties with China and other countries, and the rest of the world is doing the same. Directly because of Donald Trump and what he's doing right now. There's no other way to look at it. Say I have TDS if you want. These are the facts of the matter, and it's unfolding right now. There is no denying the facts. All right, let's look at it.
And President Xi's leadership, our teams have worked hard in the subsequent weeks and months to address some specific issues that had built up over time. but more than that, to put in place the foundation for the new strategic partnership between our countries. I'm deeply grateful, my colleagues are deeply grateful for that commitment and the spirit of that commitment, one of respect, frank exchange, purpose, and progress. After all, the relationship between our countries is historic, it's complementary, and it's deeply personal for so many Canadians. As you mentioned, mine is the first visit of a Canadian Prime Minister to China in nearly a decade. The world has changed much since that last visit. And I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
There you have it. And this is in a real sense, not in a conspiratorial sense. This is the real deal. It is a new world order that does not include the United States of America. They are actively looking for different ways to cut out Donald Trump. Thank you. This the most transparent administration there is. This is not America first. This will inevitably hurt us as a people. The old days of protectionism are gone. They're out the window. This is 2026. It is a world economy, and we were the leaders of that world economy in order to continue to live the lifestyles that we live. And I know a lot of people are struggling, but compared to the rest of the world, just scale here, right? In order to continue to live that, to do that, a lot of things have to go right. We need to maintain our position in the world, and that's not going to happen. It's actively changing. Maybe something can be done about it. I don't know. I don't know what happens when another administration comes in if these people don't stage some type of coup or military coup of some sort. And don't rule it out. He's already flirting with getting rid of the midterms. And we're going to talk about that before we get out of here. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Maybe they try and they fail. I'd love to see that happen. But here it is. They're cutting out the United States. There's no other way to look at this. That's what's happening. As far as what will happen as a result of it, that's a different story. Tony, and then we're going to Don. What's up?
Well, I think so much of this goes back to the original plans by the CFR and the Trilateral Commission. You got to remember the CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations, came in. This is a international, supranational body that infiltrates government, and that was because of our failure on their. Well, they called it a failure. We didn't embrace the League of Nations after World War I. So you get the Council on Foreign Relations, and it just starts to permeate through everything. And it's really this how to internationalize the United States. And by the end of the 20th century, you had even secretaries of state like Strobe Talbot, who was Bill Clinton's roommate at one time in college, was like, the nation state is irrelevant. So there was a populist uprising for, again, just bubbling under the surface, watching us lose national sovereignty through things like NAFTA and GATT and CAFTA. I mean, these free trade agreements, eroding national sovereignty at the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, all this stuff that was happening. And there's this pushback that eventually came, and I think rightly so. But as you've pointed out, Billy, I think there was this misdirection that captured that wanting to reset American power and resources and prosperity into whatever this political movement is. And we've never been more that's the thing. That's the pejorative. They always throw out, you're isolationist. Like, I would hear that I was an isolationist because I didn't want troops. I didn't want, 700 bases in 132 countries.
Right.
I was told I was isolationist. So I'm not isolationist. I'm an internationalist. I believe that we should have trade and peace, commerce, trade and friendship. This is, Thomas Jefferson. And we don't have that. And I think this is like a funhouse mirror version of this, where we've isolated ourselves. And I think a lot of it's scripted in a way to keep America, at least the American people, out of, in the long term, of whatever the new world order setup is. So I think that we've been excluded because of our tradition, because of the Constitution, because of the Bill of Rights, or at least this is muscle memory that we still have. We're not welcome into that. That's why in 1972, when we opened China, that gave birth to the Trilateral Commission. They're like, hey, we opened China. We have these inroads, not only through the Rockefeller and Rothschild dynastic families, but we're going to open up and start siphoning off American wealth and power and send it eastward. That's why Justin Trudeau said his favorite governing country was China. He just thought they have a great dictatorship. They can get rid of dissidents, and that's something Trudeau said. So of course Canada would say that, but we're not helping ourselves. I think I have dual criticism of just whatever the hell these people, like George H.W. Bush on 9/11, 1990, invoked the New World Order 3 times. It was a big idea. It's a big idea. It's a new world order. Right. And you say that 3 times on September 11th, 1990. So, I think again we have this. People don't realize like the seat of the New World Order is in Washington D.C. I mean, that's where the military might and the power to set things around the globe, but they're transferring so much of it. And this is the discernment part that we all have. Nobody has a very 100% accurate description of what's really going on. Remember, the map is not the territory. We're talking about reality overlaid about what your ideas are.
Yeah.
And I think, Don would agree with that. We can do a lot of research and we can look at this and be open-minded, but it's hard to see what is actually playing out because you have so much of it as an act. And that's what we're trying to discern, what is real and what is false. So I'd love to hear Don's take on this. Don, did what I say make sense? We've got this dual.
Of course. Everything you say makes sense, Tony. But yeah, I don't know. Who was the last isolationist? Maybe Grover Cleveland in the White House. I don't even know. I mean, they have to go back pretty far. And so they're concerned about having isolationists in the White House or anywhere near it. And that's why there's so much talk about Trump in that, because Trump did throw out rhetoric in that direction. But what has he done? He's the antithesis of an isolationist. He's like Teddy Roosevelt on steroids at this point. He doesn't seem to think there's anything he can't do and that we can't do. And but I think the Canadian Prime Minister, Carney's a typical globalist, as Alex Jones used to say, but the idea that they can have a new world order without the U.S. is pretty much impossible, because the United States is this huge bully that is, I don't even know if you call it a policeman anymore, but it wants to run the world, clearly, especially the way Trump is acting. I don't know how you can ignore it, because he's already, he's inventing reasons why he can go here or there and do what he wants. So I think they would do that at their own perils. I think these guys are all, obviously, this is part of the game. I can't believe there's any loose cannons out there. Even Trump, who looks like a deranged loose cannon, I still think he's an actor. And this is the way the script is going now. But I would find it hard to believe they could have a new world order without the United States in it, because they talk about China and Russia, but I don't know what China does not act aggressively at all. I don't know what China could do militarily, but really it doesn't take over countries or do anything like. So I don't know what there would be to fear from there. And Russia has its situation in Ukraine. But again, I think that could be more justified than anything we've done, because of the fact NATO has missiles there, and they could legitimately claim, much as we talked about Cuba, having missiles that close to our shore, and that's even closer to them. So I don't know. That's why I concentrate on domestic issues, because foreign affairs, they don't interest me as much. I hate the distractions from it. And now look at what's happened here. All the problems we have, all the promises Trump made in this second administration early on. The $500 Doge check. Doge gone, doesn't exist anymore. $2,000. I don't know how many checks they promised us. What did we say? It added up to at least 8,000 or something like that.
About 10,000 plus interest. It's about 12 right now. It'll be 13 next week.
So we need that.
Yes.
Months. I'm gonna have to file my taxes again. I'm still gonna have to pay on Social Security. We're all paying taxes. The IRS is still there. So all these great things Trump talked about, and what was he said? somebody caught him on something. What was it? Damn, maybe Peter remembers it. I saw a reporter actually ask him because what was it? He had said something, and he said, the reporter said, well, remember when you said this? He goes, when did I say that? When did I say that? And that's on tape saying, I thought, I wish I could remember. I'm losing my memory, but it was one of his many kind of good promises he made and suggestions. And the reporter called him on it, and he said, I never said that. So it's like,
It was on some of the checks. It was on a check, on some money that he was going to deliver. That's what it was. They asked him about some money.
Okay,
right. Go ahead.
Yeah, was yeah, exactly. It was one of those, the $2,000 one or something like that. And he said, well, I never said. So again, we have video but Trump's supporters have always said that. I remember even back in his first administration where he would say something and he'd be on videotape saying it. And his supporters would argue with me on forums and stuff and say that this is taken out of context. I said, you have video of him saying it. And it's a direct quote. But so I guess Trump is just acting like that. But that's why I wish we'd get, but nobody's even talking about it. The only domestic issue we have here is what's happening with ICE and the fact that they're doing everything but deporting people. Apparently, as I said, did they get some kind of new memorandum that ICE has to concentrate exclusively on American citizens? That seems to be what they're doing. Well, that's what I haven't seen do it. I haven't seen them break up an MS-13 gang meeting. I haven't seen it. Where is this happening? I don't know. These things are everywhere. Why can't we find them? Instead, we're shooting, lesbian mothers in the head, and things like that. I mean, it's not what anybody voted for.
I agree. Some people voted for this. Some people are happy that this is going on.
Yeah.
And if you voted for Donald Trump in this current administration, this current regime in 2024, you voted for all of this shit. You did. You were warned. You were told, people were screaming their lungs out about this. And you chose to look the other way and vote for a pedophile, a person that is protecting pedophiles at bare minimum. None of this stuff can be debated anymore. All right. In 2016, a totally different situation, even though people were warning you at that point. But I understand it. I understand 2016. Everything else I do not understand, especially now. I don't get it. Also, isolationism, it's not.
Well, to be fair, though, Billy, in 2020, Trump.
Go ahead, buddy. Tony?
Well, I was saying, to be fair, when he ran this third time, Trump was never talking about not releasing it. That happened, how many months ago, when he suddenly turned on the Epstein files and said there is none, and this is a hoax and all that. He wasn't saying any of that when he was running.
Yeah, he did. He said it. They asked him point blank. They asked him point blank, do you plan on releasing the Epstein files? And he said, yeah. And then he said, well, not so much, because there's a lot of dangerous things in there for a lot of people. So I don't know, but maybe. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to release them. We have the clip. I've played it many, many times. So I mean, the signs were there.
The other side was not talking about releasing in that. He would have been the only one that might have released it. At that point, the Democrats certainly weren't talking. They were ignoring the Virginia Giuffre and all those people. She couldn't get any of them to talk to. And then now she's a hero to them. But back then, that wasn't if you wanted to get to the truth about Epstein and everything, he was your only, in terms of maybe, because Donald Trump Jr. especially was talking about it nonstop. And I just think he took a really turn he took when he started saying.
I don't understand what made people think that was going to happen, given his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein that was fully fleshed out for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And the guy that was involved was supposed to give you the answers for it. Aren't we conspiracy theorists here? Yeah. And then we go along with stuff like that. I don't get it. Personally, it never made sense to me. Finish up, Don. I'm sorry.
No, most people but again, the mantra there was that Trump was friends with him, and that he found out what he was doing and he banned him from Mar-a-Lago. That's what his people said. That's what they claimed, and Trump would kind of say that too. And so the idea was that he didn't like what was going on, so he wanted to. And Peter has told me, I guess they cut that out of the Fox interview, and he said, but that's Trump. That's Trump, what he's kind of always done. But this kind of thing where he suddenly lashed out and said it's a hoax and why are we doing it, and pressured all the Republicans not to vote for it and got almost all of them to do that. That's, that was a new step for him. He really went, and then the Democrats coming out on the side of this for full disclosure. Chuck Schumer raising hell about it, all people. That was a shock. I've never seen that. So, but you notice how they had a very few, I think 0.01% of the files, supposedly have millions of files still to be released. What happened to it? Again, Venezuela, all this stuff, the foreign policy talk distracts from that. And, I want some more juicy Epstein disclosure. I don't know if we're going to get any of them.
We're getting something done. I don't know. We're getting something. Let me Tony, thoughts, and then I want to play this clip of Caroline Levitt saying that Don was playing around when it came to maybe doing away with the midterm elections, and then we're getting out of here. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, just a quick distinction of what I was saying earlier about that we never been more isolated. Isolationism is, again, it's an insult to those who believe in some sort of America First policy, but we're not America First right now. We're going around. We're kidnapping leaders of sovereign nations. We haven't made inroads for peace anywhere.
Right.
We're talking about seizing more land, all that stuff. We're renaming stuff. We're doing the Department of War. All this. We're not becoming. We're not negotiating. We're not becoming America First. We're doing stuff to make ourselves more. The ironic part of it is that you become more isolated.
Right.
When you make unilateral moves, and that was my point, is that I would always be told I was isolationist because I wanted to bring the troops home and I wanted to put America first. And again, but the thing about the Epstein stuff, it's so infuriating, is that we talk about, who was on the Lolita Express and what was going on with the island and all that. The guy won the Oklahoma lottery. Is nobody going to explain that? I mean, who put that into motion? There was this. What about Zorro Ranch? What about this place he had in New Mexico, the Zorro Ranch, that's completely surrounded by state land? You can't get in and out except for going through state-owned property. Somebody had to make that happen. It's an isolated thing surrounded by state land. That you have the genetic experiments. The guy had an office at Harvard. Can we go into any of that, or does it all have to do with whatever celebrity was on the fucking plane? I just don't understand. There's a larger conspiracy here, and we always just talk about whatever is going on with the plane. I get the stuff.
And Ehud Barak, the head of Israel, was there 20-some times at his staying overnight, had a close relationship with him. And Virginia Giuffre originally, in her testimony, accused Ehud Barak of violently raping him. Why are we talking about that? I mean, that's she directly names that they have a country, but we know what country that is, and no one's going to go there, I don't think.
That's the thing.
That's
right?
the thing. Yeah.
That's the thing. I was going to say that you took the words out of my mouth. What were you going to say, Tony? Guy?
Well, hit that third rail. Like, if you want to see who rules over you, not only just look to who you cannot criticize, but look how you can't even investigate this stuff.
I will tell you this. Oh, I'm sorry, Tone. I thought you were done. Go ahead, finish up.
No, go ahead. I'm just saying it's so apparent. I mean,
I will tell you this. If you want reporting on that subject, go to Democracy Now! They've been laying it out fearlessly. Yeah, you're gonna hear stuff you don't agree with if you rest on the right, but they have been going in on that subject in particular. So there are large media outlets that are doing this. It's an independent media outlet. Go check out Democracy Now! I fully endorse as part of your morning rituals. All right, Tony. Anything else before we move on to this next story and then we're out of here?
No, you go ahead. Let's
all right, let's do this.
Race towards the.
Hold on. Let me audio visual department here at America Unplugged slacking off right now. Hold on. All right, let's do this and we'll get thoughts all around. Hopefully this doesn't happen. But your orange behemoth, the child in chief, has decided that maybe we don't need midterm elections. Let's see what happens here.
Prospect of canceling the upcoming midterm elections. In an exclusive interview with Reuters, Trump referred to the historical trend of incumbent presidents losing seats in midterm polls. He went on to claim that he had achieved so much in the first year of his second term that U.S. shouldn't even have a midterm election. Trump added that the Republican Party would try very hard to win the polls. Asked about Trump's comments, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that the president wasn't serious while making those comments and was simply joking.
I was in that interview. It was a closed-door interview. Obviously, there was not audio or video. The president was simply joking. He was saying, we're doing such a great job. We're doing everything the American people thought. Maybe we should just keep rolling. But he was speaking facetiously.
Yeah, and just like he was joking about Greenland, and then now we see the fruits of that, right? Just like he was joking about everything else. Oh, it's just Trump being Trump. We have to let him say whatever the hell he wants to say. It's not a problem. So if things are on the up and up, the Republicans, unfortunately, the MAGA, I want to say, Republicans, MAGA, two different things. MAGA is going to lose a bunch of different, a bunch of seats, you know, in the next elections if everything is on the up and up. That's just the way it's supposed to go. Steve Bannon has acknowledged this since day one. He's been talking about this. As soon as Trump got elected, he was looking forward to the midterm elections. And now Trump is talking about maybe we should get rid of them altogether because no one likes me because of everything that's going on. You know, even though he says that his approval ratings are through the roof. So there must be something there, right? He knows what his approval ratings are. And he says something in public, but he knows it in secret, behind closed doors. He must know. Otherwise, why is he thinking about getting rid of the midterm elections? This isn't a joke. This guy is not joking. He means it. He means it. Let's hope it doesn't happen. Tony, then Don, then we're getting out of here.
There's a great scene in my favorite movie, Oliver Stone's Nixon, where Al Haig is talking to Nixon in the Lincoln sitting room, and it's like on the edge of his resigning, and you know, he's trying to keep his tapes out of the Supreme Court, you know, and he asked Al Haig what he should do, and Al Haig looks at the portrait of Lincoln and said, Lincoln used the army. And Nixon said, that was Civil War. He goes, what do you call this? He's looking at, 1974 or so, through the Vietnam War. We're in a similar upheaval. A lot of things have been satiated. We've put Band-Aids over sucking chest wounds of societal decay through fiat currency. We've papered over so much stuff. I mean, we continue. That's why nobody talks about budgetary matters anymore. It's a national security issue, folks. You understand? That's how serious it is. We've papered over civil unrest and collapse through just checks and pumping things into the economy and cutting interest rates and just trillions and trillions. And that's why you see like the inversion, what's happening with the prices of metals and other commodities and things. It's repriced. Everything is repricing itself because of that. So we're in the middle of something. And this, you talk about a fourth turning or a great reset or whatever you want to call it the apocalypse. But that's where we are. And this is only going to accelerate things like, cutting off the midterms. Are they that far-fetched? It probably won't happen like that because there needs to be at least a semblance of continuity until there's not. So I don't know that they'll do that. But I do think the consequence, if there is a fair election, things aren't going well. Things cost more in the grocery store. Things cost, the only saving grace is like the perceived inflows of crude oil on the market because of Maduro being, sitting in a federal holding cell. Somehow that collapsed the price of crude. I mean, think about this. I mean, what was it, 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago, you could still get an ounce of silver for less than a barrel of crude oil, and then oil's down from now. So, I mean, we're living in strange times. I think that's probably short-lived that we have low gas prices the way that we do. So all this stuff, the cutting of interest rates is a race to keep a semblance of float like where we're just doing okay and don't vote against, the status quo. If the status quo is all right. But I would watch all those metrics very, very closely. We're entering into uncharted territory, so that those kind of ideas will be on the table in America 2.0.
Don, what's up, sir?
Yeah, no, it's mentioned in the chat stats thing. I talked about this yesterday. Scott Ritter being debanked 3 days ago, and Scott Ritter's a big figure, and he's a big critic of Trump. He was originally a Trump supporter, but this is an indication. And he talked about the FBI said they're going to F him, and they've there's a memorandum somewhere that discusses that, and so it shows that nothing has changed under Trump in terms, because we saw that happening under Biden, where lots of conservative figures got debanked, lost their banking and PayPal and all that, and that's horrible. But here you have it happening. I don't know who many others, but it's happening to Ritter, and that's just it's an awful thing. But God, I've lost track of what we're before. Yeah, the midterm election. So but I do find it curious. And if I was a loyal MAGA supporter, my reaction would probably be, where's the footage of it? Did he really say it? And there's no video or audio of it, as Carol Levitt said. So clearly he said something because Carol Levitt referenced it. But who knows? I mean, this is Trump's idea of jokes or obviously humor that we don't get it, especially when it plays into the other stuff he's doing, because this is kind of his emperor image that he seems to be trying to build. So yeah, of course you would say there's not, why we need midterms, because the theory would be that however legitimate they are, they'll probably go against him to a huge degree. So I can see him saying that, but I think these kind of threats, they never, there'll be elections, and the Democrats will take back probably both. I think they'll take back both houses of Congress. That's what usually happens in these midterms. And the MAGA people will have no more excuse. That happened the first time too. I mean, the first term, Trump had both houses of Congress as well, first for 2 years, and did nothing. He's had he did nothing good this time. He's done stuff, unfortunately, it's even good. But Twisted JFK. Oh, JFK! Come on, Twisted. That's one of my all-time films. Are you kidding? That's in my top 10 at least. But the Doors, yeah, I used to like the Doors in my youth some, but as I studied Jim Morrison more, he was just so messed up. I don't know. I don't find those kind of figures as fascinating as I used to. But at any rate, so I don't think that we have to worry about that. Much as we're still worrying about World War III, and it hasn't happened yet. So I think they like to throw these things over our head, and they get people talking about what's going to happen. And but hey, I could be wrong. I didn't think Trump was going to do the stuff he's doing. So who knows?
What I'm saying is, don't put it past this big orange buffoon to try to do this. Don't put it past him. He's saying it for a reason. They already tried it on January 6th. I know we can have a whole conversation about that, okay? But he sent Mike Pence to do something for a reason, right? Regardless, don't put it past him to at least attempt it, okay? Will he be successful? Totally different. Hopefully he won't be. I don't see how he can be. I don't see how he can put himself on the ballot in 2028. But will they attempt it? If Donald Trump is alive, he's going to attempt to stay. I'm going to go, what is that, Couchy or whatever, Coochie? I forget what it's called, Couchy, that Peter Thiel put, well, one of these guys. I'm going to go bet a ton of money on that, see how much money I can make, that he tries to stay in office in 2028. All right. Just don't put it past the guy. That's all I'm saying. Keep an eye on him. Let's get out of here. Tony Arterburn, the wisest of all the wolves. Thank you for your time, your thoughts. What's going on, sir? Tell the people where they can find you.
Well, I'll make a prediction. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to leave.
That's right.
This America Unplugged office.
Let's do it.
Well, it's good to break these things down, and I appreciate everybody tuning in. We've got we're finally getting more shows out where it's just us three, which I always appreciate, and that's been the magic flow for 5 years or more. Something like that.
Wow. God
We're
bless.
it's aging in real time. But appreciate everybody. Tony.gold is my website, or Arterburn.gold. Go there and you can subscribe to the shows. Write me a message, give me a review, podcast, all that good stuff. I appreciate you very, very much.
Oh, well, Tony appreciates all of you. We appreciate Tony Arterburn. There's 182 strong across platforms. What's up, everybody? How you doing? Thank you for tuning in, wherever you're tuning in from. Don Jeffries, the legendary. Tell the people what's up.
Well, first of all, tonight again is happening almost every Saturday. It seems now I'm going to be on my friend R.B. Ham's courageous Canadian trucker that they fined him $50,000 or something because he was part of the convoy, and so help him out if you can. He came on my show briefly yesterday, but I'm going to be on his Beyond the Pale show on his Rumble channel tonight at 8 p.m. So we'll be discussing Iran and other things. You can follow me on Substack. It's the only place I'm not shadow banned. Donald Jeffries at Substack.com. I protest just like my podcast. My books are out there. And again, people can find out whatever they want about me on lots of places.
All right, fantastic. Guerrilla Underground, 7 p.m. Eastern, Sundays on X and on YouTube for me. Sebs is coming on with me this week, and we're going to talk about Joe Rogan and the Podcast Bros and Thomas Massey and why we shouldn't support them, according to her. I don't want to put her words in her mouth, but we're going to talk about all of that. It's going to be a lively discussion. At some point, Charlie Robinson is coming on, and we're going to talk about New York City. Him and I have two different points of view on New York, so we're going to talk about that. Tony's supposed to come on at some point. I think it was this week. I don't know if you can. If you can't, that's all good. We'll do it next week or whenever you can, Tony. And we got to book Don as well to talk about several things here on the Guerrilla Underground. Make sure you check me. I'll be on Sunday, Lord willing. What's up to Stephanie in the chat? Stephanie Green, how are you doing? What's going on? Liz, the Iron Maiden, is here. Always good to see Liz from overseas. How are you? Greetings and blessings to you. Angel Blue is in the chat. What's up? Karen Carpenter. Make sure you tune into the Knights of the Storm with the entire crew over there. Always a good listen at 2 p.m. Eastern. I watch on Rumble, but they're on in other places also. Jason Barker, Ashley, sometimes Angry Tiger. Go over there and say what's up. Raybo is in the chat. What's going on? Ellen is in the chat. What's going on? Another Stephanie was in the chat and said something about that I give Trump all this credit, like he's actually the one in power. Well, I was
Stephanie Green. I think it was her.
Hey, Stephanie. I would like for it. I don't know which one. There were several Stephanies in the chat. So, please tell me who's in power. Can somebody name him? Can somebody name that person? Can somebody name that? If it's an entity of people that are in power, please. I mean, we can go to Peter Thiel, right? I mean, I'm open to that. Regardless. Trump was the vessel for it. But give me the name. Give me the name of the person that's in power. I'd love to see it. Iron Realm, what's up, my guy Josh? Always good to see Josh in the chat, man. I love it when he's in here. I saw Guard Goldsmith also. What's up, Guard? How are you? Greetings and blessings to you. Here's another Stephanie 94. There was Stephanie Green and Stephanie 94. I don't know which was which. What's up? How are you? Brian is in the chat. What's going on? Peter Sikosh, what's going on, my guy? Thank you for all the info you send, man. I appreciate it, man. What else we got? We had some more people there. Should I shout out Jackson? Yeah, man. Let's shout out Jackson. How you doing, buddy? How you doing? He says with a view. What's going on? We appreciate you, Jackson. Thank you for tuning in. John Lawler is in the chat. What's up, RB Ham? We say what's up to him. Chris Bucking, what's going on? Shouts to you. Twisted, what's up, Twisted, my guy? What's going on? And that's it. I think I can keep going on. Cayenne, Akuma, what's up with you? I'm gonna stop there. Harps, what's up? What's up, Harps? All right, let's get out of here. Tony had to go open up the store, so we're not going to play any outro music. That's it. Everybody be good. Hit me up. You know where to find me. BRV 1776. That's the Bavarian Illuminati, not the American Revolution. At gmail.com. Hit me up and let me know what you're thinking. I mean, all the bad about me comes out. Send me some good stuff. Be like, yo, Billy, you're so cool. Billy, I love your hair. Something like that, like you would do for Donald Trump. I eat it up with a spoon. All right, let's get up out of here. Don Jeffries, the legendary. Make sure you check him at 8 p.m. tonight. I'm going to tune in if I can, Don. I'm always interested in hearing what you have to do. Don, incredibly entertaining for years and years and years. So, all right, let's get up out of here. Bye.
See you later. Take care.
Okay, I'm ending the stream.